So it has been a little while, and boy have I been busy. gelling and coaching an Elite 5 Northern EU Prem team, finally hitting Ascendant, competing in some tournaments for real money, and coaching a couple of lower rank players. With this crazy variety of games that I've either played in or watched, varying from Radiance all the way down to Silvers and Bronze, I have had some time to analyse what good Valorant players are doing, as well as what lower rank players aren't doing, and notice some key mistakes that almost every rank is doing that could help the Valorant community to start moving forward and uplifting its quality and ability. So let's get into my new and improved tips for ranking up and improving. So one thing that I've been seeing way too much is that people are still not using abilities enough. Hell, it wouldn't be one of my videos without me mentioning abilities and people's lack of ability to use them. Some people are still seeing this game as a Counter-Strike reskin, and I can maybe accept this if you're under level 30 and potentially playing in Iron and Bronze, but anything above this, you are legitimately trolling. Like, how many more times do I need to say that abilities in this game help you play the game more effectively? There is no reward for just dry peeking every corner or trying to take sites without using smokes or intel gathering abilities. You don't get a prize for not using trips to hold flanks, but still killing someone. I think there are some people in this community that maybe just feel they are too good for abilities. Look, I'm not mechanically good. Hell, I'm sure there are plats and potentially even golds that have better aim than I do. But they're in plat and I'm an ascendant, purely because they are playing the game on hard mode and I'm playing the game how it's meant to be played. If you feel like you are underutilizing your abilities, make a note to go into the performance tab after every game, or click on the game on your career section and go on to the performance section, and on that left side column it will show you all your abilities and the average that you use them per round. If you're not at least using your standard ability, the one that everyone gets at the beginning of each round without having to buy it at least once per round, you need to start actively pushing yourself to use that ability. And I'm not then even talking about the rest of the abilities that you get in your kit. And if you're asking yourself, I want to use these abilities, but I don't know the best time, I have a video series starting soon looking into each agent, best use cases and tips. So make sure you are subscribed and ringing that notification bell for those. But remember, it is always better to use the abilities than not use them at all. Tip number 2 is one I've definitely said before, but this time I'm going to start using professional play to back up my point. You guys need to stop relying so heavily on duelists, and stop thinking that the only way to get kills is by playing a duelist. I honestly don't get people's fascinations with duelists. I think they're boring. Well, at least most of them. Neon and Your Room might be entertaining and Raze can be fun, but ultimately they aren't nearly as enjoyable to play as some of the other agents in the game. Hell, these agents aren't even that broken or busted anymore. Jet used to be great, but she seems to get nerfed every act. And Raze is pretty good, but she's still not as strong as she was. Nor is she anywhere near as strong as some of the other agents in the game. And then the rest of the duelist pool is basically just mid. You could pick Viper, Cypher, KJ, Chamber or Gecko, who are all very strong agents in the current meta in basically every single rank, who will not only do a lot for your team, but you can also easily use to give yourself free kills like most people think you can only get on duelists. This kind of goes back to the not using abilities tip, where I think most people don't really focus too much into the abilities that agents have and mainly just focus on what they see as the basics and gunfight specific abilities, which are why people like Reyna, Jet and now Clove are all used quite a lot. Reyna and Clove can both heal themselves off of kills, and Jet basically can get a free escape from a gunfight and let you peek aggressively without really having any repercussions or danger. But so many of the agents in the game you can drop kills on, look impressive and still be beneficial to your team whether you are fragging out or not. Now, the point that I'm saying in terms of how I can back this up with professional play is just look at what has been happening in the VCT for the last 12 months. You've seen a huge shift in the type of IGLs in tier 1 organisations, from the more tactical aware but poor mechanic players into these more big brain but great aimers that have been hitting the scene and really blowing up some big name teams. They haven't just gone to these big aim players that can also tell you what to do and say, well, you can just IGL from a duelist role. No, they've actually played these people on more tactical or more ability focused roles like Sentinels or potentially even Controller. Like, just take, for example, John QT for Sentinels, King for Leviathan, Magnum for KC, and Munchkin for Gen G. These guys could easily be duelists on any other team, but they are playing Sentinel, Controller, Initiator, and sometimes even Flex for their team because they are good enough that they don't need to have the crutch of a duelist role to carry them in-game. Hell, look at some of the absolute insane aimers who have been moved away from the duelist roles, not because they aren't good on them, but because they can deal double damage to a team by being good at getting kills and having good aim, but also being on agents that make the game easier for you and harder for your enemies. Players like Alfiev for Fnatic who moved to the Sentinel role, Tens for Sentinels who moved from duelist to Controller, Tex for Leviathan used to be a duelist on G2 and is now playing a Sentinel flex role for Leviathan. Leaf has just recently been moved on the G2 roster from the duelist role now onto the Sentinel and probably flex moving forward. All of these guys can click heads and have very good aim and will still put out good numbers and won't have to play duelist to do so. And towards the end of the last year, and still occasionally this year, you are still seeing some duelist players play other roles on different maps depending on what their team need. Most famously, Demon 1 was playing Brim through the champs run of EG where they won. My long drawn out point is, duelist does not equal kills. It equals first person in, which still doesn't mean kills. So stop insta-locking duelist because you think that's the only way I can frag out. If you really want to start getting more kills and you want to make sure that you're actually doing something for your team regardless of whether or not you're clicking heads, pick some of those more broken agents that I mentioned earlier that will guarantee you value and your team value, and then might as well just pick up some free kills off of their utility whilst using them instead of just picking a duelist, sitting behind people, hoping you'll get kills, and then probably not. Tip number 3 is one that I see more people talking about recently, but never really the why behind it, and it's trying to find a duo or a trio to queue with. I want to specify that I'm saying duo or trio, so 2 of you or 3 of you, and not 5 stack. Look, 5 stacking is great. I've been playing in a Prem team for like the past 6 months, and it can be really good for learning how you as a team play and how you as a 5 play, working on things like team chemistry and just being able to play without potentially using some form of comms. But when it comes to ranked, it's not very good for ranking up. Not just because of the RR penalty that you get for queuing with people that aren't in the same rank as you, but more often than not, the 5 stacks that I've come into in ranked have normally been 4 normal players who are looking to rank up, and then 1 absolute unholy god of a player who is either abusing the fact that you can 5 stack with any rank and is currently in, Immortal 1 to Radiant, or is a Smurf who's decided that they want to carry their friends and is just going to 5 stack with them on a Smurf account and they're actually a Radiant or Immortal 3. With a duo or a trio, you immediately have an upgrade in comms, or at least I hope you do, as you would be in a Discord call, right? But anyway, this will help you gather more information, finding out what is actually happening in the game, because let's be real, most randoms don't use their mics. It also allows you to have some consistency, as you will know what your teammates like to play, how they play, and how they perform, and you can play around that. It allows for you to play a little less random every game, and it also allows you to build some consistency. It's also super useful to be playing with people who want to improve and grow as well, as you will all motivate each other to rank up and grind, as well as pick each other up when you're having potential bad games or feeling a little bit down or potentially even tilted. And I would recommend having at least one person in that duo or trio that is a little bit better or higher skill than the other 2, as this will help you improve really without even having to take time to do things like aim train and improve or watch videos like mine. I have always found that queuing up with higher quality and higher level players normally puts you in harder lobbies and then will force you to improve, learn how higher ranked players play, and push you to their level over time regardless of the self-improvement you are doing outside of those games, which again you should also be doing. You shouldn't just drop that. If you are someone who doesn't have teammates to play with, there are so many different ways to do this through looking for group posts and services, Discord servers that you can join, which I'd love for my own to become one day. So if you guys are looking for people, potentially all of you jump into my Discord and you can find each other there, as well as places like Valorant Tracker and Teams.gg. Or better yet, just talk to people that you're playing with in ranked there is a chance that you'll run into some people that aren't total monsters, and if you feel like you are playing well with them and the vibes are good, ask them to play, see how it goes, and go from there. Tip number 4 is just playing your damn role. God damn it, am I bored of people picking agents because they like their artwork or voice lines. Because that has got to be the only reason they pick them. There is no way people are picking them for their abilities and for what they do in a team comp. It seems to be one of the biggest coaching points that I've been talking about to people from lower ranks, and it's something I'm still seeing in Diamond and Ascendant lobbies, which makes me believe that people have secured some really bad habits of not actually understanding what your specific role is in regards to the role that you picked, but also the agent you've picked in the team comp. We have all seen the videos of people complaining about duelists sitting behind their team and not entering, but we need more videos about initiators not communicating with their duelists to combine util with their entry, like intel abilities or flashes, or controllers placing smokes not only in the right place that people need, but also at the right time for when people are executing sight. And don't get me started on sentinels not using utility to watch areas of the map, like specific entries or flanks. It's yet again playing the game on hard mode. It does come into playing your util, but it goes even further than that. It's about what you are doing as an individual, or what you should be doing in any specific team comp, on both attack and defense. I don't want to see controllers just smoking default spots off rip before teams have even started attacking sites. I don't want to see initiators not communicating with their team about timings for flashes and intel gathering abilities to help duelists take sight, take retakes, or just for double swings. I don't want to get into a round after a prep phase and see 0 flank watch, 0 sight trips, or anchor util placed ready for either the sentinel to defend off of or to allow another team member to play off. I don't want to see any more sentinel players dry peeking main in the first 2 seconds and dying, leaving no trip or flank denial anywhere. I don't want to see initiators peeking before their duelists without using any of their util. The more I talk about this, the more it fills into the tips of util usage, but I will be expanding more on the fundamentals of knowing your role and how to play your role in an upcoming video, so if you want more on this, make sure you are ringing that notification bell for future videos. And finally, tip 5, stop thinking that ranked mode is a competitive deathmatch. I can't believe how many games recently I have seen where teams throw rounds because they are kill hungry and thinking that the one way to win is to get more kills than the other team. Specifically on defense is where I see this happen the most. So in case we have forgotten, here is a quick recap. On defense, if you stop the other team from planting before the time runs out, you win. They could have 5 people alive and they don't plant the spike, you win. I know some of you might be having an epiphany right now or your mind's blown, but it feels like a lot of you have forgotten this. Not only am I saying you don't have to force yourself to get kills, but what this does mean is that attackers who are potentially down in a 3 versus 5 or something worse, with only about 30 seconds left, it means that they will be rushing to the site, not playing properly, not checking corners, or being shaky when it comes down to a clutch. Remember, people under pressure don't always perform to their best abilities, and there is a larger room for error. So if you're a defending team who is up 5 versus 3, or even better, why not just take the time, play calm, and not have to run into them trying to kill every single player on their team. I think a lot of people do this because they just want to be able to get an extra kill on the round, and they think because it's a 5 versus 3, it will be an easy kill, or it means that if they do run in and die, that the team will just pick up the slack. But I think a huge thing to look at this, or in a way to look at this, like from someone that is trying to rank up, is that firstly, you need to have more control over the rounds that you're in, or the rounds that are going on, and being dead and throwing away your life for something that isn't useful is not a good way to rank up. At the end of the day, positive RR, no matter how much RR, is still better than negative. If you get 0 kills, but your team wins, you still get more RR than if you dropped 30 kills and lost the game. If you want to climb ranks, it is more important to focus on winning and what it takes to win, rather than what it means to just have a massive ego, drop 30 kills, but be on a 12-game loss streak. We've talked a lot about defenders, but I want to go on to the attack side, that in the same vein, this still makes sense. If you're just trying to run it down every single attack round and you're playing the game to just get some kills and hopefully kill all the defenders because that will win you the game, you are honestly playing the game and approaching the game wrong. Your first and primary objective as an attacker should be to make space and take space to get onto site to plant the spike. An offshot of that is getting kills, because to take the space, you will either have to clear someone out of that area, which means pushing them off with abilities, or killing them. Not that killing them is the first goal and then planting is the second. And I think a lot of people don't actually understand that those are not that way round. It's not kill first, plant second. Your primary goal as an attacker should be take space to plant the bomb. Everything else is secondary. And those are my tips. I always keep it at 5 because I don't want to have a 20-minute video, but I know these are pretty simple. There's nothing groundbreaking in here, but these should be at least helping you rank up. And look, if you are looking for more in-depth, deep dives into how you can improve as a whole, I am actually now working on a series called Valorant Fundamentals, currently in the works. I've already got a couple videos recorded. You'll just have to wait for them to be released. But if that is something that you're interested in becoming a better Valorant player as a whole, then I'd make sure that you are subscribed to this channel and ring that notification bell for the next video to come out, because that will be the first video in that series. But I hope these tips have helped. If you made it this far, why don't you drop me a like anyway? And if you find that one of these tips helps you down the line, please come back to the video and let me know what one was the most helpful for you, because it really helps me know if this stuff is working or maybe it's not. But anyway, good luck in your games, have a great day, and see you in the next one.